Good morning and welcome to the Celebrate podcast. I'm Lisa McGarry, co-owner of Celebrate Primary Care.
And I'm Della Tootin, other owner of Celebrate Primary Care.
We are live on Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday at 11, and we are so grateful for all of you that watch us. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcast and 2 other platforms with the podcast if you want to listen to it after the fact. Today we're super excited because we have Daniel Sarkis of Sarkis Psychiatry with us. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having me. Welcome.
So we met you, not very long after we opened.
Yeah.
So we were always looking for places to refer patients that needed more specialized care than a primary care office can give. And we met Daniel, and we refer all the time over there.
Yeah, we thank you for that. And I remember when you guys came in and was just awestruck and go, wow, they have something special.
Oh, thanks. And we've loved it. It's been probably 5 or 6 years since we even met you.
Yeah.
So, and we've appreciated all the support from you guys too.
Well, and you've taken good care of me personally.
Yeah. So, yay, thanks. All right, Della, come on, enter Oprah. Let's do it.
Well, I want to know the history of your practice and your dad and how you built this in Gainesville. And, there's a lot going on with your practice. It's not just straightforward psychiatry. I'm interested in the research but kind of tell us a little bit about you and maybe, you grew up in Gainesville and went to school here. So start there maybe.
So like you said, my father finished his residency with UF and is a child and adolescent psychiatrist. He also is specializes in adults as well.
Okay.
He opened the practice in 1991. We are actually in the same building that we've been in since 91. Wow. We just kind of keep growing down the block.
Taking over the whole block. Nice.
Yeah.
So, and then like you said, we started research in 1996. We had a nurse practitioner who was part of the team and said, why don't we do research? And my dad says, let's go.
Yeah.
So at that time, there's a really interesting research trial. It was an ADHD trial, and he did an exit interview with every participant. I think there was about 25 participants, and it was just across the board. It was clear. Everyone had a really good experience. It's with research, you're able to spend more time. There's not a time pressure from an insurance company or a billing standpoint. We're able to give really comprehensive evaluations. We're able to look at things a little bit more in depth medically. So,
your watch is.
I was going to say my watch. I thought you said Siri or something.
No,
but
it said I'm having trouble hearing you.
I brought up Siri.
Wow.
But it's a really great option, especially if you're struggling with something that maybe what's available and what's on the market today isn't helping.
Right.
It also
not give a good response.
Right, and it also really helps us move science forward. A lot of people's motivations are to help us so that maybe their kids aren't suffering with the same thing or other family members. The practice has kind of evolved over the years. Currently, we have 7 nurse practitioners that see patients independently. My father's the lone psychiatrist at the moment. We're always
looking,
right?
It's hard, right?
As you know.
We talked about this, finding staff is difficult.
But we've always really liked the nurse practitioner model. We're pretty early on with that in the early 90s in terms of...
And most of them are specialized psychiatric nurse practitioners.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They've got specialty and...
Specialized training.
Correct.
Yeah.
One of which is Kathy Knopfsinger, who's got a great autism practice. She's really a highly specialized, incredible experience.
That's awesome.
And she really is something special in terms of a pediatric neurological nurse practitioner.
That's good to know. I think that a lot of people, you touched on the autism part, and I think that a lot of people in the community oftentimes are at a loss, and so that's good to know that you have that option, and I think that people do need to know more about that as an option.
Autism is one of those things where it's just, if you're not plugged into the community, there's a really great community, but if you're not plugged in, you can feel like you're on an island.
Yeah, and it's scary and alone, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just kind of a little bit about myself. Like you said, I grew up here, went to UF twice. I have an MBA. I'm an avid pilot and Gator fan.
Awesome. So
awesome.
you are the CEO of the practice,
Yes.
and you kind of do all the operations side of it. What made you steer away from maybe going into psychiatry yourself?
Well, my intentions were always to go to medical school, and as I was finishing up my bachelor's degree, which was a business degree with pre-med track, I realized that my business was a full point higher than my pre-med.
Sounds like your path was chosen.
Maybe this wasn't for me so much.
Oh, that's so funny.
But it's interesting getting to see the providers taking care of the patients. Our mantra is take care of the patient, and we'll figure out the rest later.
Yeah, right.
We do that too. That's
and
awesome.
I was going to say, I think that really coincides with what you guys got going on.
Yeah.
And so, like this past summer, we started COVID testing.
Yes.
I know you saved us because we couldn't get them, and I was like, Daniel. He's like, it's in the parking lot. Just have them come, get it scheduled. And it was like such a crazy time. And I mean, you saved us. Like, you made us look good. I'm like, I got a place. Here's a guy.
Right down the street.
It's super close. Yeah.
Right.
So we appreciate that.
Well, and it was like one of those things, right? So with our clinical research, we have a certified lab.
Yep.
And so we had access to COVID tests.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never in my wildest dreams thought we would be one of the only places doing COVID tests. I just figured by, we started in June. By September, it'll be over. Starbucks will be doing them.
Yeah.
I didn't think. And so now we're doing, Walgreens is still taking 3 to 5 days to get a
Which
PCR
is so
test
crazy.
back. I don't understand. So
And you have a rapid PCR.
we have a same day PCR.
If you're traveling, this is who you call.
If you come before noon, you'll get the results around 6:30 in your email.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
mean,
amazing.
So it's like we're trying our part to take care of the community.
Yeah, and it was a valuable service,
Yep.
right? So people were so anxious and so afraid, and I couldn't get testing, or I only had the IgG, IgM, and they needed something else. We had antigen for a while, and
it was very confusing for people as
It really
well.
was.
And then they would say, "Oh, this isn't actually what I need for travel." We're like, "Oh."
Well, and then it changes every day, and
it depends on where you're going,
How
and
many hundreds of countries, right? And
exactly.
So, it's so we've always tried to participate in the community, take care of our patients, and work hard.
Yeah. And it shows, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. No, it does. Are you kidding? We love sending patients there. And you guys have Julie, who was a student with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I can't find anybody to do my psych stuff with. So I actually called over to the office and got her in to do her rotation.
Yeah.
And then you guys hired her. I was
Absolutely.
like, I feel like,
awesome.
I feel so happy about that. I'm like, oh, I made a good connection for her. Like, it was sweet. So,
Yeah.
And she's amazing. And I still text her and say, hey, I have an issue. Can you help me? And she'll help me, or she'll say, I really need to see them, or whatever,
Right.
And we love having those connections in this community. And I think our patients appreciate that, right? Like,
For sure.
I can text somebody and get an answer about something, and it's a referral, or it's a simple let's try this first. So
Right.
anyway, we appreciate that you guys are part of that circle with us.
She's a great member of the team. We're really excited to have her.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, hard to find people,
And hard to find good people. I mean,
Right.
it's we've been around for 30 years, right? So we've had people come and go, and
Gainesville's hard anyway.
We've had some great people, and we've had other than great people.
Welcome to owning a business, right? This is life lessons
The
we've
truth.
had.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what does the future hold? What do you foresee for your practice growing? And
Well, COVID really forced a digital transition.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Everybody got new to them computers. Weren't maybe necessarily new, but, we went from zero tele to almost exclusively tele.
Yeah.
We were in the office for people that it had to be an in-office visit. I mean, just seeing kids on tele is
Tough.
not great.
It's hard to connect, right?
It really isn't. We'd really like to have kids come to the office. Some of our more experienced generation, perhaps some of our older patients, it's a little bit more challenging. So we're happy to be able to be there. I think the hybrid model is big.
It's amazing.
One of the really interesting things on the research side is that we have our first fully virtual trial.
Oh, what's it for?
So it is for depression.
Okay.
And it's an interesting concept where they're looking at an app where you're already taking one medication for depression.
Okay.
and it's not quite giving you the results you're looking for. So we can have anybody in the state, which before, we're driving, if you've got to come to the office 2-3 times a week, well, that's not great if you're in Miami.
Right.
But it's a totally virtual depression trial, which I think we'll start seeing more virtual stuff incorporated maybe as part of the maintenance visits when we're not having to draw blood, like on the research side. There's a lot of touch points. One of the benefits of the research is you are seeing a physician much more frequently than you're going to in a traditional outpatient setting.
Yeah.
That may be a downside if you're having to come 3 times a week.
Right, because it's so far.
Right.
If they live far away.
If it's far.
Right.
But, we're looking at your labs pretty frequently. We're doing scales, we're doing physicals. It's just such a higher level of us taking care of you in the research side than, what we're able to do.
Because it's not dictated by insurance and time and all those things. Yeah.
How do people find out about the trials that you might have going on, and how do you advertise that?
So, it's always been one of those kind of constant challenges that we've looked at different things. Right now, we do a lot of digital. That's
like Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Facebook is a big one. We used to do a lot of TV and radio, the newspaper.
Yeah.
That's old school.
Right.
I mean, do you do that anymore?
Not
so
really.
much.
I mean, it just, you spend a lot of money and nothing happens, and you just kind of wonder why. It's hard to track. It's hard to see that return. So maybe the person that came for the next one heard you on the radio for the last one.
Yeah.
So you really can't get that.
But people could reach out and look at your website.
Does your website have all of them?
Yeah, our website's mostly updated. We try. But so it's there. They can call.
Okay.
And so we've got a form on the website that they can just kind of go through and get contacted.
So right now, the only thing that you have going on is the virtual depression.
So we've got probably about 15 trials going on.
That's a lot.
So that we're recruiting for. We generally have about 30 to 40 that are just kind of in the spectrum of either being startup, recruiting, maintenance, or closing down.
Yeah.
So I'd say we probably about 45 trials right now.
Wow.
We've got a lot of depression stuff.
Okay.
We have some bipolar, some PTSD. In Ocala, we actually have a site where we're looking at like Crohn's and colon cancer screening. So we do more GI stuff down there.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's that's one of the things that's interesting about kind of our model, and what you asked about the future is that we can link up and have a partnership with any physician.
Right.
Yeah.
We have the structure, we have the infrastructure to run a clinical trials. We're clinical trials experts.
Yep.
Not necessarily clinical trial psychiatry experts. We can run any clinical trial.
Right. It's a recipe, right?
Right.
You got to do these things.
Right.
These are the
You gotta
steps.
do these
and
things.
You got to have this person. Yeah.
And so we have the regulatory department, we've got the recruiting department, right? We have the business development department where we're able to do outreach and get these trials, and we can say, yeah, we've been doing clinical research for 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay, this doctor's new, but we know what we're doing.
Right. And you can teach them, right?
And so we can partner with somebody. And so I think that's kind of I think that's what I'm looking at for the future.
Well, it's a great service.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a great, and I know personally, I've had patients, that were able to route into your practice because of these
Trials.
offerings.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that it's a really a huge benefit that people aren't even necessarily aware of.
Yep.
And so, I think that it's awesome.
we've still got the white lab coats and the guinea pig stigma.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've evolved a bit beyond that. And it's the patient, the subject is being compensated, right?
Yeah.
So they're coming more often than they would. So they're seeing a physician more often than they would.
Okay.
And they're getting a study drug or a placebo.
Placebo, yeah,
There's depending on the
blind.
trial, there
Yep.
might be an open label period afterwards, up to a year or two, where they're actually going to get the study drug.
Okay.
All that's free, and then they're compensated.
Right.
Nobody's going to get rich off this, but it's the FDA wants it to be fair, but not an incentive,
Right.
not
Right.
a high incentive.
Well,
right?
they're driving, so their time
Yeah,
and their gas and all that
exactly.
kind of stuff. So, I mean, that makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad.
And it helps them too,
Well,
and that's
exactly.
that's the awesome part of it.
But at the end of the day, even if they got the placebo, they're leaving with a comprehensive, especially right now, comprehensive psychiatric evaluation that they didn't have. They may be leaving with a diagnosis that they didn't have and a treatment plan. And at the end of the day, we're not just like, okay, bye,
Fling
it's
'em,
done. We're going to make sure there's a transition of care. We're going to see them if we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We like that, and we like the partnership that we have. But
I know a lot of people are afraid of cost, right? So, it's like, we're going to refer you to psychiatry. And the first thing, because we have a lot of, insurance isn't always great, right? They have a crazy high deductible, or they don't have anything, or healthcare sharing, or they're just not sure. And so having that as an option for us has been really helpful. It's like, well, let's go see what trials they have right now and see if we can kind of get you connected back in, and they appreciate that. So,
well, and a lot of mental health providers aren't participating in insurance. I mean, so we were approached in 2012 with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and they basically renegotiated our contracts, cut our rates by 40%, and they dangled the incentive. They basically, the only way we would be able to stay in business is if we saw patients for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And we made a really...
That's the model.
Right, that's it. And we made a really hard decision because... that was scary.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When we finally gave up insurance, we were...
Jumping off the cliff.
I was shaking in my boots. I'm going to be honest. It just really felt scary.
Well, because you feel like that's it. That's what you've done. That's what you know.
Right, but we couldn't take care of the patient. Our mantra is take care of the patient. And that generally for us is a 30-minute visit at the outpatient side.
Yeah, and it should be.
And it should be. I don't know how, because otherwise, medication management just is, are you having any side effects?
Here's your prescription.
Here's your refill.
Right. And that's terrible
but
for them, the patient, and the provider. I mean, it's not, nobody wins in those situations. And that's what Dell and I've always said is, in the traditional model, no one wins. The provider's overworked.
Right.
They don't get to have lunch or go to the bathroom. The patient feels kind of screwed because they got 7 minutes.
They got 7 minutes. They waited 2 hours for those 7 minutes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
for sure. People,
so true.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just like when I met you guys, it was just such a breath of fresh air to see the model, and it really just, I really love your model.
Thank you.
We love it too. Thanks. Yeah. It is. It changed. I mean, it changed our lives. Yeah. Because we did that crazy life. Pulling up at 7 o'clock with your hand on the steering wheel. Yeah, and you've got like, oh my gosh, there's 4 people in rooms, and then I've got 6 in the waiting room because they knew I would see them if they just showed up.
Right.
And so, and I would, because that's like, they don't have anything else. Like, I have to help them.
Because your job is to take care of the patient.
Yes. And it's a post-hospital follow-up, open heart surgery with, and you do
3 minutes.
Yeah, correct.
It's and you have no records. They didn't even pick their meds up because they couldn't afford them. They don't know what they were taking. They just know that they were told to come for a follow-up, and you're just like... Every day was like, please don't let me kill anybody. Like, I'm trying to call the hospital, Meanwhile, all these people are still coming in while I'm trying to figure out how can I take care of this patient. So, oh my gosh, we're so grateful that we get to do this. It's like, it's amazing. Yeah. So, and we get to connect with people like you. And in the community in Gainesville, we have such amazing, that's why Della and I get like small businesses on with us and the owners and the CEOs, because we have amazing businesses here that people don't know about, and so sharing and spreading the word is really what we love to do.
Connecting people.
Absolutely.
So this is away from the business side of it. So you grew up in Gainesville, like most people who grow up here, including me, we leave and come back. Right?
Yeah.
So you've done that as well.
Yep.
So you're back, and you always stayed connected to the business, and I understand that. But you're here. So what do you guys like to do for fun in Gainesville?
In Gainesville, well, I'm going to tell you, if you haven't been to SUBCRIBE.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on my list. I was going to go Thursday, but I forgot I have to go to Chewy's and have margaritas.
I don't know what that is.
Why not both?
What is SUBCRIBE?
It's a little wine bar.
Oh.
It's down near the new office. Yeah.
So. If you haven't been to SUBCRIBE, go to SUBCRIBE.
Okay.
I could do both. I mean, that's right in line with me.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that's on brand. That's very on brand. But there's nothing quite like a football game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a great museum.
Yes.
On campus.
Yep.
The Cade Museum is very cool. I wish I was more of a nature guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that to do.
I feel like you told me the last time we met up that you were playing tennis. Are you?
My instructor had surgery on his knee, and somehow I got very distracted in the parking lot, and I need to get back to tennis. I would love to get back to tennis. That's a great
well,
reminder.
I'm starting
Oh,
to play.
now I'm going to be like texting you. Are you back in tennis? Are you back in tennis?
I think we'll get back to tennis.
I'm going to tell you why you're not playing, because every afternoon it rains. So the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, she's been trying.
Yeah, I'm
You've
supposed
been
to be
rained out.
for the last 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
I'm super sad about it. It's like the rain is coming. I'm like, I wasn't really prepared. I wasn't quite.
I was
stretched
like,
up
are you
enough.
really sad about it? I'm confused.
I really want to be prepared, but I also don't want to snap my Achilles.
No, that's for sure.
no
Yeah.
injuries. No.
I will say I'm thankful for the rain for my lawn.
Yes.
That I'm battling something growing in the front yard or not growing in the front yard. So
But
it's
now
like,
it's really bright green, all of the stuff around it.
yeah.
Yes, I think we all need some lawn care. I do too.
Yeah.
I have something growing too. That's
So
not
you were
good.
before we got on, you were telling me about hobby that you love to do. Tell us more about that.
I caught the aviation bug.
It's a
That's a
it's a good
bit of a
one.
bug, probably
Yeah.
about 8 years ago.
Okay.
And it just, I've never experienced anything quite like it. I'm just into cars and like that scene. And
Yes, you were.
yeah, it was. But there's something about flying and the freedom,
Yeah.
the control and the precision required. There's something pretty special about it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I don't
awesome.
know. I don't know if I'm doing a great job describing it, but it's interesting when you kind of find your thing and you really click into that thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know
That's
it's your
you.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you learn to fly here?
I actually learned in St. Pete.
Okay.
It was I found an accelerated course where I was able to do it over a couple of weeks and get my license.
Wow, that is accelerated.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a giant process.
But
But you have to have so many airtime.
airtime.
But you have to have so much airtime and all
Yeah.
these other. That was just the pen and paper, or was that
No,
all of
that
it?
was the whole thing.
What?
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't know that
So
was a
what
thing.
what are you able to fly?
So I can fly a little plane with a single propeller.
Oh,
And so I'm actually going, hopefully in a few weeks, to be able to do it with 2 engines to get my multi-engine.
that's cool.
Nice. Another accelerated program.
Yes, yeah, like 4 days.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, that's scary to me.
I'm a fan of 2 engines.
So
Tell us, not a giant like flag.
the reality, the whole concept of a pilot's license is it's a license to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not licensed to
You're practicing.
You're good. You're good enough to not kill yourself.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
Oh,
learn.
jeez. That's
Yes.
Yeah,
great.
we're all practicing medicine, right?
Right.
I know.
Absolutely.
It's so bad to say it too. People get nervous, but anyway.
It's true.
But
Anyway.
any parting words? Any enlightened things you want to tell us before we are off today?
You know it already. Take care of the patients, and we'll figure out the rest later.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's
So we
true.
always talk about a health tip, and I think that something that's very important for mental health is having balance and good sleep, good
Yes.
sleep
This
hygiene.
is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that if people can dial that in and get good sleep, sometimes it really helps with a lot of the other things that are going on that make you feel unbalanced.
Well, and you know what I mean. It's shutting off the screens. Is it having a cup of tea? Do you
Right.
need a nightly routine? Do you need to have an app that tracks your sleep so that you're more motivated to do better on the sleep? It's just you've got to find your thing and take care of yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't be
absolutely.
better if you're not sleeping well.
No,
Absolutely.
it messes up everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank
So-
you for being here with
Yes,
us
this
today.
was so
Great.
fun.
Thanks for
I
having
told
me.
you it was going to be fun.
Yeah.
And not stressful.
Yeah, and Elio's going to put up your information so
Oh,
people
great.
can look up the
Perfect.
trials you have going on and connect to you.
Yeah, and I forgot to thank Elio with Fiesta Media for being our producer. He's amazing, and we appreciate him so much. So we will see you guys next week, next Tuesday, 11 o'clock, live on YouTube and Facebook. We're going to have Dr. Tucker.
Yes.
Dr. Charles Tucker. We've been trying to get him in here. We're excited he's finally coming. So we get to talk to him. He's got some cool specialized stuff he does. And we just appreciate all of you so much. And we'll see you next week. Bye.